Art Bellwether's calloused hands moved across the wooden surface. The toy chest beneath his fingers took shape gradually, each detail meticulously carved and smoothed. In his workshop, surrounded by the scent of sawdust and varnish, he found peace. The same peace that eluded him at home. A high-pitched giggle filtered through the workshop's walls. His wife's laughter. Once, that sound had filled him with joy. Now it made his stomach clench. Art set down his tools and checked his watch. 7:45 p.m. Ellie would be leaving soon for another business dinner with Damon. The thought of his supposed best friend made his jaw tighten. He heard the click of heels on the driveway. Unable to resist, Art moved to the workshop window. Ellie emerged from their house, dressed in a form-fitting black dress that he'd never seen before. Her hair was styled differently, makeup perfectly applied. She hadn't dressed up like that for him in years. "You're being paranoid," he muttered to himself, though the gnawing feeling in his gut told him otherwise. The sound of a car door slamming drew his attention. Cassie, their 17-year-old daughter, stormed up the driveway, her face twisted in its perpetual scowl. "Mom, you're going out again?" Cassie's voice carried clearly through the evening air. "Yes, honey. Business dinner with Damon. There's leftovers in the fridge. Whatever. Not like Dad's gonna come in from his precious workshop anyway." Art's hands clenched around his workbench. When had his daughter started speaking about him with such contempt? He watched Ellie kiss Cassie's cheek before climbing into her car. As the vehicle disappeared down the street, Art returned to the toy chest. His nephew's baby shower was approaching, and he wanted this gift to be perfect. An hour later, he heard the house door open and close. Footsteps approached the workshop. "Dad." Cassie's voice dripped with annoyance. "Mom said to remind you about dinner." Art wiped his hands on his apron and turned. "Actually, I wanted to show you something, Cassie." He gestured to the toy chest. The wood gleamed under the workshop lights, intricate patterns carved along its edges. "What do you think?" "It's for your cousin's baby." Cassie glanced at it, her expression unchanged. "It's just a box, Dad. You could have bought one at Target for like $20. Each piece is hand-carved," Art explained, running his fingers over the detailed woodland scene he'd created. "See these animals? They tell a story." "God, Dad, I don't care about your stupid wooden boxes." Cassie threw up her hands. "This is why Mom's always so bored. You never do anything interesting. You just hide out here playing with wood all day." The words struck like physical blows, but Art kept his expression neutral. "Cassie, save it. I'm going to my room." She spun on her heel and stalked away, leaving Art alone with his thoughts and his work. Later that night, Art sat in his workshop, staring at his phone. A text notification had popped up on Ellie's linked iPad. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Last night was amazing. D. 20 years of marriage. 20 years of building a life together, and this was how it ended." With a text message from his best friend to his wife. Art's mind drifted to their early days. He'd been young, ambitious, with nothing but his tools and a dream of building beautiful things. Ellie had loved that about him then. She'd sit in his tiny workshop for hours, watching him work, planning their future together. A memory surfaced. Ellie at 19, her eyes bright with dreams of escape from their small town. "We'll make it big together, Art," she'd said. "You and me against the world." The irony tasted bitter now. His phone buzzed. A text from Tom. "Beer tomorrow?" Art typed back, "Sure. Need to talk anyway." He set the phone down and looked at the toy chest. Such a simple thing, really. A box to hold treasures, built with love and care. He'd thought that was enough, being a good man, a skilled craftsman, a provider. Now he wondered if it had ever been enough for Ellie. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway drew his attention. Art checked the time. 11:30 p.m. He heard Ellie's distinctive laugh again, accompanied by a deeper voice. Damon's voice. Art remained still, listening as car doors opened and closed. The murmur of voices. Another laugh. Then the sound of a single set of footsteps entering the house. He picked up his tools and resumed work on the toy chest. Each stroke of the sandpaper was measured, controlled. Like his anger. Like his pain. Like the plans already forming in his mind. They thought him simple. A quiet craftsman who wouldn't notice their betrayal. Who wouldn't understand. who wouldn't retaliate. They were wrong. Art worked late into the night, his movements precise and purposeful. The toy chest took shape beneath his hands, becoming something beautiful, something perfect. Unlike his marriage, unlike his family, unlike the facade of friendship Damon had maintained while destroying everything Art held dear. As he applied the final touches to the woodland scene, Art allowed himself a small smile. They learned soon enough. The quiet craftsman had teeth, and he knew exactly how to use them. He picked up his phone and opened his banking app. Time to start moving pieces on the board. They wanted to play games? Fine. But they'd learned that Art Bellwether played to win, and he never, ever forgave a betrayal. Chapter 2. The Gathering Storm. The bell above Tom's hardware store door chimed as Art entered. The familiar scent of metal and wood greeted him, along with Tom's booming voice from behind the counter. Art, just the man I needed to see. Got a shipment of that oak you wanted. Art nodded to his friend, noting the early morning quiet of the store. Perfect. He needed privacy for this conversation. Tom, got a minute? Something in Art's tone made Tom's smile fade. He gestured toward his office. Coffee's fresh. In the cramped back office, Art sat heavily in the worn leather chair. Tom closed the door and leaned against his desk, waiting. Ellie's having an affair. Art's voice was flat, emotionless. With Damon. Tom's coffee cup clattered against the desk. What? No, that's... Damon's your best friend. Was. Art pulled out his phone, showing Tom the text messages he discovered. Been going on for months, best I can tell. Jesus Christ. Tom ran a hand through his graying hair. Art, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do? Art's lips curved in a cold smile. First, I need information. Tell me what you know about Damon's real estate dealings. The Mountain View development? He's been bragging about it at the club. Says it's his biggest deal yet. And Tom shifted uncomfortably. Look, I've heard rumors. Nothing concrete. But people say his numbers don't add up. Why? Because Art stood, his voice terrifyingly calm. I'm going to destroy him. Not just for the affair. For everything. Art. He's been in my house, Tom, pretending to be my friend while sleeping with my wife. And my daughter. Art's knuckles whitened. Cassie looks at him like he's some kind of hero. Tom watched his friend carefully. You're not planning anything stupid, are you? No. Nothing stupid. Nothing illegal. Just justice. The conversation shifted as customers entered the store. Art helped Tom with the morning rush, his movements automatic as his mind worked through his plans. By noon, he was pulling into the school parking lot. Maggie's familiar figure waited by the library entrance, her arms crossed. You sounded serious on the phone, she said as Art approached. What's wrong? Inside the library, surrounded by books and silence, Art told his sister everything. Maggie listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each revelation. I should have seen it, she finally said. The way Ellie's been acting, the expensive clothes, the late nights. I need your advice, Mag. Not about what to do. I know what needs to be done. But about protecting myself legally. Maggie's eyes narrowed. What are you planning? Nothing they can prove. Art's voice was soft. But I need to know how to separate our finances without raising suspicion. How to protect what I've built. Art. Maggie grabbed his hand. Don't let this turn you into someone you're not. I'm already not who I was. He squeezed her hand before letting go. They saw to that. That afternoon, Art returned home early. He moved through the house silently, examining, documenting, credit card statements, bank records, property deeds. His fingers flew over his phone's calculator as he added up the numbers. In Ellie's closet, he found shopping bags stuffed with recent purchases, designer clothes with tags still attached. In Cassie's room, a new laptop she claimed to need for school sat unopened, paid for with his credit card. Art photographed everything before returning items exactly as he found them. In his workshop, he created a detailed spreadsheet of expenses, assets, and debts. The picture it painted was clear. While he'd been building his business, they'd been building debt. A memory surfaced. Damon at their dinner table last month, talking about his latest real estate venture. It's all about leverage, he'd said, winking at Ellie. Using other people's money to build your dreams? Art's phone buzzed, a text from his lawyer confirming tomorrow's appointment. He'd chosen someone from 2 towns over, someone who didn't golf with Damon or attend Ellie's charity functions. The sound of Ellie's car pulling into the driveway broke his concentration. Art quickly saved his files to a secure cloud account and closed his laptop. "Honey," Ellie's voice called out. "Are you home early?" "In the workshop," he answered, his voice betraying nothing of what he knew, what he planned. Ellie appeared in the doorway, wearing a new dress he hadn't seen before. Her smile faltered slightly when she saw him working. "Still at that toy chest?" "Damon was asking if you'd join us for dinner tonight. He's got some exciting news about the Mountain View project." "Can't tonight," Art replied, carefully sanding a joint. "Too much work." "You always say that." Ellie's voice held a note of reproach. "Sometimes I think you love this workshop more than your family." Art looked up, meeting her eyes. "Do you really want to have that conversation, Ellie?" Something in his tone made her step back. I should get ready for dinner." After she left, Art remained in his workshop, listening to the sounds of his wife, preparing for another evening with his former best friend. His hands never stopped working, even as his mind calculated and planned. They thought him blind, thought him weak, a simple craftsman too absorbed in his work to notice their betrayal. Soon they'd learn just how wrong they were. Chapter 3. The Betrayal Unveiled. The dining room table stretched between them like a battlefield. Art sat at one end, divorce papers laid out before him. Ellie stood at the other, her face flushed with anger. "How dare you?" She slapped her hand on the table. "After 18 years, this is how you treat me." Art's voice remained steady. "How I treat you?" Interesting choice of words, Ellie. What's that supposed to mean? Why don't you ask Damon? Art watched the color drain from her face. "Or better yet, let's look at your text messages together." "You went through my phone?" Ellie's voice rose an octave. "You had no right." "No right?" Art's laugh held no humor. "I had every right. I'm your husband. Or did you forget that between your dinner dates with my best friend?" The front door slammed. Cassie stormed into the dining room, her face twisted with rage. "What did you do to Mom?" "Stay out of this, Cassie," Art warned. "No, I won't let you bully her." Cassie moved to stand beside Ellie. "You're such a disappointment. Mom's been trapped in this house for 18 years while you chase success. Of course she fell for your best friend. He actually makes her feel beautiful, unlike you." Each word struck like a physical blow, but Art's expression remained unchanged. Cassie wasn't finished. "I'm glad she found someone who knows how to love her. He's been the real father figure in this house. I hope they get married after the divorce. You're nothing but a bank account to us." The silence that followed was deafening. Art stood slowly, gathering the divorce papers. "Thank you, Cassie," he said quietly. "That's exactly what I needed to hear." "What's that supposed to mean?" Ellie demanded. "It means I now know exactly where I stand with both of you." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Oh, and Ellie? You might want to check your credit cards. They seem to have stopped working." He left them standing in the dining room, their angry voices following him to his workshop. Inside, he pulled out his phone and dialed Tom's number. "It's done," he said when Tom answered. "They showed their true colors, just like you said they would." "You okay?" Tom's concern was evident. "Better than okay. For the first time in months, I know exactly what I need to do." Art's voice hardened. "They want to treat me like a bank account? Fine. But they're about to learn that every account can be closed." Later that evening, Art sat in his truck outside La Maison, an overpriced French restaurant where Ellie and Damon often met. Through the window, he could see them at their usual table, heads close together, laughing. His phone buzzed with a text from his lawyer, papers filed. "She'll be served tomorrow." Art watched as Damon reached across the table to take Ellie's hand. They thought they were celebrating their freedom, their future together. They had no idea what was coming. Another buzz from his phone, this time from his bank. The transfers were complete. His separate accounts were set up. Years of careful saving, of reinvesting in his business, had prepared him for this moment. They saw him as nothing but a provider, a bank account. Then he'd show them exactly what happens when the provider decides to stop providing. Art started his truck, and pulled away from the restaurant. In his rearview mirror, he could see Ellie and Damon through the window, still laughing, still planning their future together. Let them laugh. Let them plan. They'd learn soon enough that betrayal carries a price. And Art Bellwether always collected his debts. The next morning, Art arrived early at his workshop. He had orders to fill, projects to complete. Life didn't stop just because his marriage had imploded. His phone rang. Tom again. Ellie's been served, Tom said without preamble. She's at my store right now, making a scene. Says you can't do this to her. Art continued working as he spoke. What exactly did she say? That you're being unreasonable. That she deserves half of everything. That you owe her for all the years she supported your dream. Supported my dream? Art's laugh was harsh. While spending my money on designer clothes and secret dates with Damon? She's threatening to take you for everything. Let her try. Art set down his tools. They think they know me, Tom. Think they know what I'm capable of. But they have no idea. What's your next move? Art looked at the divorce papers on his desk, at the carefully crafted clauses his lawyer had inserted. Now we watch them realize exactly what they've lost. The sound of tires on gravel announced Ellie's return. Art could hear her heels clicking angrily toward the workshop. I have to go, he told Tom. Time to start the next phase. He ended the call just as Ellie burst through the door, divorce papers clutched in her hand, face red with fury. You bastard, she screamed. You think you can just throw me away like this? Art turned to face her, his expression cold. No, Ellie, you did the throwing away. I'm just making it official. I'll fight you for everything. These papers are a joke. They're legal. And binding. Art stepped closer, his voice dropping. You wanted Damon? You've got him. But you don't get to keep what I've built while you're playing house with my former best friend. You can't do this to me. I already have. Art turned back to his workbench. Close the door on your way out. Some of us still have work to do. Ellie's scream of frustration echoed through the workshop as she stormed out. Art remained at his bench, his hands steady as he worked. Let her scream. Let her threaten. Let her run to Damon for comfort. The trap was set. The pieces were in motion. And Art Bellwether never started a game he couldn't win. Chapter 4. The Financial Reversal. What do you mean there's nothing? Ellie's voice echoed through the lawyer's office. He can't do this. Her lawyer, Mr. Patterson, adjusted his glasses and reviewed the documents again. Mrs. Bellwether, I'm afraid your husband has been quite thorough. Thorough? Ellie slammed her hand on the desk. He's trying to steal everything. Legally speaking, he hasn't stolen anything. Patterson spread out several papers. The business was incorporated in his name alone. The house was transferred to a trust 6 months ago. Your joint accounts were closed, with funds moved to accounts solely in his name. That's impossible. I would have noticed. Would you? Patterson's tone was pointed. When was the last time you reviewed your financial statements? Ellie fell silent. She couldn't remember. Furthermore, Patterson continued, most of these transfers were done with your signature. What? I never signed anything. Actually, he pulled out several documents. These home improvement contracts you signed? The refinancing papers for the business expansion? They included clauses about asset transfer. Ellie stared at her signature on page after page. She remembered Art asking her to sign them, explaining they were routine business matters. She'd been too busy planning her next meeting with Damon to read them. In the waiting room, Cassie paced anxiously. When Ellie emerged, her daughter pounced. Well, what did he say? How much are we getting? Ellie's face was ashen. Nothing. We're getting nothing. That's not possible. Cassie grabbed the papers from her mother's hands. What about my college fund? My car? Gone. All of it. He can't do this. Cassie's voice rose to a shriek. This isn't fair. A deep voice behind them said, Life rarely is. They turned to find Art standing in the doorway, impeccably dressed in a suit they'd never seen before. You bastard, Ellie hissed. You planned this all along. No, Ellie. You planned this. You and Damon. Art's voice was calm, almost gentle. I just decided to change the ending. Mom. Cassie pointed at her phone. Damon's not answering my calls. His office number is disconnected. Art's lips curved slightly. Interesting timing. I heard the SEC is looking into some of his development projects. Apparently, there are irregularities. What did you do? Ellie's voice trembled. Me? Nothing illegal. Unlike your boyfriend's creative accounting practices, Art checked his watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting with the bank. About foreclosure proceedings. Foreclosure? Ellie's knees weakened. On what? The house, of course. Since you refused my generous offer to buy you out. That wasn't an offer. Cassie screamed. You wanted us to sign away our rights for pennies. Those pennies are looking pretty good right now, aren't they? Art turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Cassie? You might want to start job hunting. I heard the mall is hiring. He left them standing in the lawyer's office, their world crumbling around them. Across town, in a dimly lit bar, Damon stared at his phone in disbelief. His accounts were frozen. His office was sealed. His clients were fleeing. Another? The bartender gestured at his empty glass. Make it a double. Damon loosened his tie. How had it all unraveled so quickly? His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check your email. With trembling fingers, Damon opened his inbox. There it was, documentation of all his fraudulent deals, his manipulated numbers, his misappropriated funds, copied to the SEC, the police, and his investors. No, he whispered. No, no, no. His phone buzzed again. Ellie. Damon. Her voice was frantic. What's happening? Art was just here. He said something about the SEC. He knew. Damon cut her off. He knew everything, Ellie. The Mountain View scam, the fake investors, all of it. What are you talking about? I'm ruined. Damon's voice broke. And it's all your fault. My fault? You pursued me. And you were stupid enough to fall for it. Just like you were stupid enough to sign those papers without reading them. The line went dead. Damon looked up to find two men in suits entering the bar. Mr. Hayes? One held up a badge. We need you to come with us. Back at the lawyer's office, Ellie and Cassie sat shell-shocked as Patterson explained their options. The house must be vacated within 30 days. Your credit cards have been canceled. The joint accounts are empty. He sighed. Mrs. Bellwether, I strongly advise you to accept any settlement he offers. I won't give him the satisfaction, Ellie spat. Mom. Cassie's voice cracked. We have nowhere to go. Your father planned this, Ellie said bitterly. He wanted us desperate. Patterson shuffled his papers. Actually, Mrs. Bellwether, reviewing these documents, your husband didn't just plan this. He orchestrated it with a precision that's almost admirable. Admirable? Ellie laughed harshly. He's destroying us. No, Patterson corrected. He's letting you destroy yourselves. With your own choices. He closed his folder. I recommend finding a good bankruptcy attorney. As they left the office, Cassie turned on her mother. This is your fault. You and your stupid affair. Don't you dare blame me. You were just as horrible to him as I was. Their argument echoed through the parking lot, watched by a figure in a nearby car. Art sat quietly, observing their disintegration with detached interest. His phone buzzed, a message from Detective Davies. Need to discuss Damon Hayes' case. When can you come in? Art started his car, a slight smile playing on his lips. Phase 1 was complete. Now for Phase 2. They wanted to treat him like an ATM? Fine. But ATMs could be closed. Accounts could be emptied. And betrayal came with compound interest. Chapter 5. The Trap Titans. Detective Ray Davies leaned back in his chair, studying the man seated across from him. Art Bellwether's calm demeanor didn't match someone whose life had recently imploded. Mr. Bellwether, these allegations against Damon Hayes are serious. They should be. The evidence is solid. Art pushed a folder across the desk. Bank statements, forged documents, shell companies. Damon was quite busy. Davies opened the folder. How did you get these? I've known Damon for 20 years. Been his friend, his confidant. Art's voice held no emotion. He trusted me with things he shouldn't have. And you kept records? I'm a careful man, detective. I believe in being prepared. Davies studied the documents. This will destroy him. He destroyed himself. I'm just providing the evidence. The detective's eyes narrowed. This feels personal, Mr. Bellwether, does it? Art met his gaze. Damon defrauded dozens of investors. Ruined lives. That's what should feel personal. And the fact that he was sleeping with your wife is irrelevant to his crimes. Art stood. Will that be all? Davies watched him leave, noting his steady stride, his controlled movements. This was not a man acting on emotion. This was calculation, pure and simple. At Art's workshop, the morning passed quietly until the bell chimed. Ellie stood in the doorway, wearing a dress he remembered buying her last Christmas. Art, can we talk? He continued working. About. I've been thinking. She moved closer, her perfume filling the air. Maybe we can work this out. For Cassie's sake. Interesting timing. Art set down his tools. Nothing to do with Damon's arrest? Don't be like that. She touched his arm. We have history, Art. 20 years of marriage, which you threw away for a con man. He removed her hand. How's that working out? Please. Her voice cracked. I made a mistake. We both did things we regret. No, Ellie. You made choices. Now you're facing consequences. He turned back to his work. Close the door on your way out. You heartless bastard. She grabbed a wooden figurine from his workbench, hurling it at the wall. You're enjoying this. Actually, Art said quietly, I'm not enjoying anything. I'm simply ensuring justice is served. Justice? She laughed bitterly. You call destroying our lives justice? Your life isn't destroyed, Ellie. It's just not the one you wanted. He met her eyes. Now leave. Before I call the police about trespassing. As Ellie stormed out, Art's phone buzzed with a notification. A video was trending on social media. Cassie in the mall parking lot, screaming at someone filming her. Do you know who I am? Her voice shrieked from the phone. My father owns half this town. Not anymore. Someone replied off camera. Heard your dad cut you off. Karma's a bitch, right? The video continued, showing Cassie's meltdown in full detail. Comments poured in, each one more savage than the last. Art closed the app. His daughter was learning a harsh lesson about reputation, about consequences. Across town, Damon paced his apartment, phone pressed to his ear. What do you mean you're pulling out? The Mountain View project is solid. Is it? The investor's voice was cold. Because I'm looking at documents that say otherwise. Goodbye, Mr. Hayes. Damon's phone beeped. Another investor gone. They were fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. A knock at his door made him jump. Two uniformed officers stood outside. Mr. Hayes? We have some questions about Mountain View development. As they led him away, Damon caught sight of a familiar truck parked across the street. Art sat behind the wheel, watching. Later that evening, Art visited the property that had been Damon's dream project. The Mountain View development sign lay fallen, the land untouched. His phone rang. The real estate agent. Mr. Bellwether? The purchase is complete. The property's yours. Thank you. Art surveyed the land. I think it'll make a nice nature preserve, don't you? He ended the call and stared at the setting sun. People were gathering at the police station, investors and homeowners who trusted Damon Hayes. Their angry voices carried on the wind. Art's phone buzzed again, a news alert. Local real estate developer arrested on fraud charges. He read the article carefully. His name wasn't mentioned, but his fingerprints were all over Damon's downfall, just as he'd planned. The sound of police sirens filled the air. More charges, more evidence. The house of cards was falling, and Damon Hayes was buried in the rubble. Art started his truck, heading home. There was still work to do, projects to complete. Life continued, even as others' worlds crumbled. They thought him blind, thought him weak. A simple craftsman who couldn't possibly understand their sophisticated games. They were learning differently now, learning that true sophistication lay not in flash and charm, but in patience, in precision, in the careful dismantling of lives built on lies. Chapter 6. Isolation and Despair. You're not welcome here anymore. Sandra Mitchell's voice cut through the country club's dining room. I think it's best you leave, Ellie. Ellie clutched her handbag tighter. Sandra, please. We've been friends for 15 years. Friends don't lie to friends. Sandra turned away. And they certainly don't bring their lovers to dinner parties while their husbands work late. The whispers followed Ellie as she fled the club. Her phone showed dozens of unanswered messages, all from Cassie. At home, she found her daughter waiting. Where have you been? Cassie's mascara was streaked with tears. The bank froze my cards. I couldn't even buy lunch. Not now, Cassie. Yes, now. Cassie blocked her path. This is your fault. You and your stupid affair ruined everything. Don't you dare blame me. You were right there with me, spending his money, treating him like dirt, because you taught me to. Cassie's voice cracked. You made me think Dad was nothing but a boring old man who held us back. But he was the one holding us up, wasn't he? And now, a knock at the door interrupted them. A man in a suit stood outside, holding papers. Mrs. Bellwether? Eviction notice. You have 30 days. Across town, in his workshop, Art ran sandpaper over a new project. The rhythmic motion calmed him, helped him think. The bell chimed. Maggie entered, concern etched on her face. You bought the house? She didn't wait for an answer. Art, they're your family. We're my family. He continued working. Now they're just people who betrayed me. This isn't you. The brother I know. The brother you knew died the moment his wife and daughter proved they saw him as nothing but a wallet. Art set down his tools. Don't ask me to be someone I'm not anymore, Mag. I'm worried about you. She touched his arm. This coldness, this calculation. It's changing you. Good. Art met her eyes. The old me was weak, trusting. He let people take advantage of his kindness. And this new you? The one who puts women and children out on the street. They put themselves there. With their choices, their actions, their betrayal. Art turned back to his work. I'm just making sure they understand the cost. Later that evening, Tom visited. He found Art in his usual spot, working late. Heard about Damon's arrest. Tom settled onto a workbench. And the eviction notice. News travels fast. People are scared of you. Art. The way you dismantled their lives. They dismantled their own lives. Art's voice was flat. I just removed the safety net. You've changed. Tom studied his friend. The Art I knew is gone. Art set down his tools. That Art believed in second chances, in forgiveness. He believed family meant something. And this new Art believes in justice. Art's smile held no warmth. Cold, clean justice. A buzz from Art's phone interrupted them. An anonymous message containing photos. Ellie and Damon at restaurants, hotels, secret meetings. A note attached. Do you like being betrayed? Art's smile widened slightly. Something amusing? Tom asked, just appreciating irony. Art pocketed the phone. How are the hardware store's new suppliers working out? Tom recognized the deflection but didn't push. This new Art, this cold, calculating version of his friend, unnerved him. The transformation was complete, irreversible. The next day, Ellie and Cassie's screaming match could be heard throughout the neighborhood. I hate you. Cassie hurled a vase at the wall. You ruined my life. I ruined your life? You spoiled, ungrateful brat. Who bought you everything you wanted? Dad did. With the money you stole from him. Inside his workshop, Art listened to their implosion with detached interest. His phone buzzed, another message from his lawyer. House sale complete. Eviction proceeds as planned. He typed a brief acknowledgement, then returned to his work. The sounds of his family's destruction provided a steady backdrop to his craftsmanship. They'd wanted this, chosen this path. Now they could walk it to its bitter end. His phone buzzed again. Maggie. I still love you, brother, but I don't recognize you anymore. Art read the message twice before responding. Good. The man you knew was too weak to survive what they did to him. The workshop fell silent save for the sound of his tools. Outside, his former life crumbled to dust. Inside, he built something new from the ashes. Something stronger. Something colder. Something that would never break again. The old Art Bellwether had died in the ruins of betrayal. This new version rose from those ruins, forged in pain, tempered by rage, hardened by truth. They'd wanted to destroy him. Instead, they'd created something far more dangerous. A man with nothing left to lose and everything to take. Chapter 7. The Price of Lies. Room 113 of the Sunset Motel reeked of stale cigarettes and broken dreams. Ellie sat on the sagging bed, staring at her phone. The screen displayed her 20th unanswered message to Art. "Please, we need to talk. Things are desperate here." Cassie burst through the door, her fast food uniform stained with grease. "They cut my hours again." "What? Why?" "Because I told my manager he couldn't speak to me that way." "Do you know who I am?" "Nobody knows who we are anymore." Ellie's voice cracked. "Nobody cares. This is humiliating. I shouldn't have to work at all. Dad should. Your father isn't going to help us." Ellie threw her phone onto the bed. "He won't even read my messages. Have you seen Damon? Maybe he could." "Damon?" Ellie laughed bitterly. "Your precious real father figure is in prison, remember? And his lawyer says he's facing 20 years. But that's not fair. Dad set him up." "No." Ellie stood, facing her daughter. "Damon set himself up. Your father just exposed him. How can you defend him? After what he did to us." "What he did?" Ellie's voice rose. "We did this. You and me, with our entitled attitudes and our spending and our cruelty. Mom, look at us now, living in this dump, working minimum wage jobs, while Ellie choked back a sob. "He's probably in his workshop, creating beautiful things, not giving us a second thought." At that moment, Art was indeed in his workshop, reviewing paperwork. The sale of the house was complete. His lawyer had drafted a letter authorizing a substantial anonymous donation to the local women's shelter. His phone buzzed. Detective Davies. "Mr. Bellwether? Got a minute?" "Of course, Detective. Those photos you received. The anonymous ones of your wife and Hayes. Interesting timing, wouldn't you say? Was there something specific you needed, Detective?" A pause. "You don't seem surprised by them, or concerned about who sent them. Should I be? Most people would want to know who's watching them, following their spouse, taking pictures. Most people aren't dealing with what I'm dealing with." "And what exactly are you dealing with, Mr. Bellwether?" Art's voice remained steady. "The consequences of other people's choices, Detective. Nothing more." Another pause. "We'll talk again." Art ended the call and returned to his paperwork. The detective's suspicions meant nothing. There would be no evidence to find. His phone buzzed again. A text from the motel manager. "Sir, your wife is asking about extending their stay. She's 3 days behind on payment." Art didn't respond. Let them feel the bite of poverty. Let them understand what it meant to have nothing. Across town, Cassie stood behind the fast food counter, her face burning as former classmates snickered at her uniform. "Welcome to Burger Barn," she muttered. "May I take your order?" "Oh my God, it really is her," one girl whispered loudly to another. "The princess is flipping burgers. Guess Daddy's money ran out." Another laughed. "What happened, Cassie?" "No more designer bags." Cassie's hands shook as she punched in their order. Each snide comment, each mocking laugh, drove home the reality of her new life. Her manager, a pimply 20-year-old who once would have worshipped her, barked orders. "Pick up the pace, princess. Those fries won't cook themselves." After her shift, she walked the 3 miles back to the motel. They couldn't afford a car anymore. Her phone was filled with social media notifications, each one a fresh humiliation. "Saw the famous Cassie Bellwether serving fries today. Hashtag karma is real. Remember when she called me poor in sophomore year? Look who's poor now." At the motel, Ellie was typing another message to Art. "The manager's threatening to evict us. Please, Art, just talk to me." The message marked as read, but no response came. Back in his workshop, Art reviewed the house sale documents one final time. The shelter would put the money to good use, helping women who truly needed it. His phone rang, the motel manager again. "Mr. Bellwether, I hate to bother you, but your wife is becoming difficult. She's demanding to speak with you. You have my instructions. No extensions, no exceptions." "Yes, sir. And if they can't pay by Friday, then they'll need to find other accommodations." He ended the call and picked up a chisel. The wood beneath his hands took shape, each cut precise, controlled. Like his revenge. His phone buzzed with a notification, another social media post about Cassie. He didn't need to read it. Her public humiliation was complete, her entitled worldview shattered. The sounds of his tools filled the workshop as darkness fell. In the distance, a police siren wailed, probably another visit to Damon in prison. The man's empire had crumbled completely, taking Ellie's dreams of luxury with it. Art's phone lit up with a final message from the motel. Your wife says she has nowhere else to go. Should I call social services? Art stared at the message for a long moment before typing his response. Do what you need to do. They made their choices. Now they could live with them. He returned to his work, the wood taking shape beneath his hands. Each cut, each stroke, brought him closer to completion. Of his project, of his revenge, of his transformation. The old Art would have felt guilt, would have rushed to help, to save, to forgive. But that Art was dead, murdered by betrayal and lies. This new Art? This new Art simply worked, creating beauty from destruction, while his former family learned the true price of their lies. Chapter 8. The Reckoning. Art pulled into the motel parking lot, his truck's headlights illuminating the dingy facade of room 113. His phone displayed Ellie's desperate message, "Please come. I need to see you." Inside, Ellie jumped at his knock. When she opened the door, her appearance shocked even him. Designer clothes replaced by discount store wear, perfectly styled hair now limp and unkempt. "Art." Her voice trembled. "You came." He stepped inside, taking in the cramped room with its peeling wallpaper and stained carpet. A half-eaten fast food meal sat on the nightstand. "Why am I here, Ellie?" She moved closer. "I've been thinking about us, about everything. We could start over. I know I made mistakes." "Mistakes?" Art's voice remained flat. "You didn't misfile our taxes or forget an anniversary. You destroyed our family. I know, but where's Cassie?" "At work." Ellie's face crumpled. "She hates it there. The other kids are cruel to her. Life is cruel to those who aren't prepared for it. Please." She grabbed his arm. "We can fix this. I'll do anything." Art removed her hand. "There's nothing to fix. You chose Damon. You chose luxury over loyalty. You chose to treat me like a bank account instead of a husband. I was wrong. We were both wrong." "Yes, you were." He moved toward the door. "And now you're living with those choices. That's it." Tears streaked her makeup. 20 years of marriage and you just walk away? "No, Ellie. You walked away. I'm just making sure you reach your destination." He left her sobbing in the motel room, her cries echoing across the parking lot. The prison visiting room buzzed with tension as Art sat across from Damon. The once charming real estate developer had wilted in confinement, his designer suits replaced by prison orange. "Art." Damon's voice shook. "I didn't expect to see me, to face consequences, to lose everything." Art leaned forward. "Which part surprised you, Damon?" "Look, I know what I did was wrong." "Do you?" "Because I'm not here for apologies. I'm here to make something clear." Art's voice dropped. "This isn't about revenge. This is about justice." "Justice?" Damon's facade cracked. "You destroyed me." "No. Your greed destroyed you. Your lies destroyed you. I just made sure everyone saw who you really are. I'll get out eventually." "Into what?" Art smiled coldly. "Your business is gone. Your reputation is ruined. Your investors want blood. You'll spend the rest of your life paying for what you've done. You're enjoying this." "Actually, I'm not. I don't feel anything for you anymore, Damon. Not anger, not hatred. Nothing." Art stood. "You're just another failed project." Later that day, Detective Davies sat in Art's workshop, watching him work. "Those photos," Davies said. "The anonymous messages. The timing of Hayes's downfall. It's quite a coincidence. Life is full of them. You don't seem worried about someone stalking your wife." "Ex-wife." Art continued working. "And no, I'm not worried. Because you know who sent them?" Art met his gaze. "Do you have evidence suggesting otherwise?" Davies sighed. "No, and I probably never will." "You're thorough. I'll give you that. I'm just a craftsman, detective. I build things. Sometimes I take them apart." After Davies left, Tom and Maggie arrived. They found Art packing his tools. "You're really leaving?" Maggie asked. "There's nothing here for me anymore. There's us," Tom said. "Your friends, your family." Art paused, his hands on a wooden box. "You've seen what I've become. What they made me become." "Art." Maggie touched his shoulder. "The pain in you is done." He turned to face them. "I'm not who I was. That man died the night he read those text messages. And this new version?" Tom asked. "The one who orchestrated all this is at peace with his choices." Art resumed packing, just like they'll have to be with theirs. Maggie hugged him suddenly, tears in her eyes. "I understand why you did it, but I miss my brother. He missed you too." Art's voice softened slightly. "That's why I'm leaving. The man you want me to be, he's gone." Tom helped him load the last boxes into his truck. "The library got your donation. Maggie's book program will help a lot of kids." "Good." Art closed the truck's tailgate. At least something positive came from all this. As he drove away, Art caught a final glimpse of his workshop in the rearview mirror. The place where he'd built beautiful things, where he'd crafted his revenge with the same precision he applied to his woodwork. They thought him weak, thought him blind, thought him incapable of fighting back. They learned differently now, learned that true strength lay not in flashy shows of power, but in quiet, relentless execution of justice. His phone buzzed one last time. "Detective Davies. Whatever I might suspect, I can't prove." "Well played, Mr. Bellwether." Art didn't respond. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to prove. Chapter 9. A New Beginning. 3 years later. The workshop hummed with activity as Art guided his apprentice's hands over the wood. "Feel the grain. Let it tell you which way to cut." Sunlight streamed through large windows, illuminating rows of beautifully crafted furniture. Art's new studio had become known for its exceptional pieces, each one bearing his distinctive mark of precision and care. His phone buzzed, a message from Tom. "Davies retired last month. Still talks about your case. Says it was the one that got away." Art smiled slightly. The detective had never stopped suspecting, never stopped searching for proof. He'd found none, of course. Art hadn't survived betrayal by being careless. Another message appeared. "Maggie, the library's children's wing is thriving. Your donation changed lives, brother." He set the phone aside and returned to his work. The past was another country now, one he'd left behind in that small town with its bitter memories and broken promises. His apprentice looked up. "Mr. Bellwether? Someone's here to see you." A man in a police uniform stood in the doorway. "Davies, now retired but still carrying himself like a detective." "Nice place," Davies said, looking around. "You've done well for yourself. What brings you here, detective?" "Just Davies now. Retired last month." He picked up a small wooden box. "Beautiful work. You didn't drive 6 hours to admire my craftsmanship." Davies set down the box. "Heard about your ex-wife and daughter. They're still struggling. Working dead-end jobs, living in a cheap apartment. Their choices, their consequences. And Hayes? He'll be in prison another 17 years. Justice system works sometimes." Davies studied him. "You know, I never found proof about those photos, those messages. But we both know. We both know I'm just a craftsman." Art turned back to his workbench. "A man who builds beautiful things. And destroys them too, when necessary." "Was there something specific you needed, Davies?" The former detective shook his head. "Just wanted to see for myself how you're living with it all." "I live fine. The question is, how do they live with their choices?" After Davies left, Art checked his messages again. Another one from Ellie, marked unread like all the others. "I saw your work in a magazine. You're famous now. Please, Art, we need help." He deleted it without reading, just like all the others. His phone rang, a client wanting to commission a piece. As he discussed designs and materials, Art's hands moved over a piece of maple, feeling its strength, its potential. Later that evening, he sat at his desk, writing a letter. "Dear Tom and Maggie, I hope this finds you both well. The business is thriving, and I've found peace in my new life. The man you knew died 3 years ago, but perhaps this new version isn't entirely without merit. I won't be coming back. That chapter is closed. But know that you both meant everything to me, and that your understanding made my transformation possible. Take care of each other. Art. He sealed the envelope, his last connection to his old life. The man who trusted blindly, loved deeply, and been betrayed completely no longer existed. In his place stood someone stronger. Someone who'd learned that true justice wasn't about revenge, but about letting people face the full weight of their choices. His phone buzzed one final time. Cassie. Dad, please? Mom's sick. We need you. Art turned off the phone and returned to his workshop. The wood waited for his touch, ready to become something beautiful, something new. They wanted to break him. Instead, they'd forced him to rebuild himself, stronger than before. They thought him weak, a simple craftsman who would forgive and forget. They learned differently, and in that learning, they'd lost everything while he'd gained something invaluable. The knowledge that true strength lay not in forgiveness, but in the courage to let justice take its course. Art picked up his tools and began to work. The wood shaped itself beneath his hands, becoming something new, something strong. Just like him. Epilogue. 10 years later, Art Bellwether stood in his expansive workshop, now a renowned studio in Portland, Oregon. At 58, his hair had grayed at the temples, but his hands remained steady, his eyes sharp. The studio buzzed with activity. 6 apprentices working at various stations, each learning the precision and dedication that had made Bellwether Crafts a name synonymous with excellence. Mr. Bellwether? His assistant, Sarah, appeared at his elbow. The gallery in San Francisco called. They want to feature your work in their winter showcase. Art nodded, running his hands over a piece of walnut. Send them the portfolio. But tell them I don't do openings. He'd built a new life here, far from the ashes of his old one. His work appeared in prestigious galleries, his pieces commanded premium prices, and his waiting list stretched 2 years. Success had come not from revenge, but from the same ruthless dedication he'd applied to dismantling his previous life. His phone buzzed, a message from Tom. You should see the library now, Art. Maggie's reading program has gone statewide. Your donations changed everything. Tom had visited twice over the years, keeping Art informed about the town he'd left behind. He owned 3 hardware stores now, having expanded using the business advice Art had given him before leaving. Another message appeared. This one from Davies, now fully retired. Thought you'd want to know. Hayes is up for parole next month. Art set down his tools. Damon Hayes. The name meant nothing to him now, just another piece of his past that had crumbled to dust. Sarah? He called. Get me the parole board's contact information. One phone call would ensure Hayes served his full sentence. Not from vengeance, but from justice. Some debts required full payment. His laptop chimed with an email notification. The subject line read, Please read, Cassandra Bellwether. Art clicked it, his face impassive. Dear Mr. Bellwether, you probably won't read this. You haven't responded to any messages in 10 years. But I'm not writing to ask for money or help. I'm writing to say you were right. Mom died last month. Cancer. In the end, she admitted everything. How she'd used you. How she'd taught me to be entitled and cruel. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. I work as a teacher's aide, trying to help kids not become what I was. The salary barely covers rent, but it feels honest. Real. You taught me the hardest lesson of my life, and I'm finally learning from it. Cassie. Art read the email twice before clicking delete. The lesson had been learned, but some bridges couldn't be rebuilt from ashes. His intercom buzzed. Mr. Bellwether? Your 4 o'clock is here. The commissioner about the courthouse restoration project. Send him in. The project would be his largest yet, renovating the historic courthouse downtown. They'd chosen him not just for his craftsmanship, but for his reputation for absolute integrity. As he discussed the project with the commissioner, Art's mind drifted to another courthouse, years ago, where he'd begun dismantling Damon's empire. The memory held no emotion now, just acknowledgement of a task completed. Later that evening, in his penthouse apartment overlooking the city, Art opened a letter from Maggie. Dear brother, the library's impact continues to grow. Your anonymous donations have funded literacy programs across 3 states now. Tom says I should stop being surprised by your generosity, but I remember the man you were before they betrayed you. That core of decency survived, didn't it? Even if everything else changed. I miss you. I understand why you had to leave, why you had to become someone new. But I want you to know that some of us remember who you were and understand who you've become. Davies retired last year. He still talks about your case sometimes, always with a mix of frustration and admiration. The perfect execution of justice, he calls it. He's not wrong. I heard about Ellie. Cancer's a brutal way to go. Cassie struggled to pay the medical bills, but she refused to reach out to you again. Maybe she finally learned something about pride and consequences. Your latest piece was featured in Architectural Digest. I showed it to my students. Proof that beauty can come from the hands of someone who understands both creation and destruction. Love always. Maggie. Art folded the letter carefully. Maggie understood better than most how completely he'd transformed. She'd watched him dismantle his old life with the same precision he used to create his masterpieces. His phone buzzed with a news alert. Hayes' parole hearing scheduled. Below it, a message from his lawyer confirmed that their documentation was ready, proof that Hayes had attempted to continue running scams from prison. Justice wasn't just about punishment. It was about protection. Keeping Hayes imprisoned protected others from his predatory nature. Art poured himself a glass of scotch and looked out over the city. 10 years had passed since he'd executed his plan for justice. 10 years since he'd transformed from a trusting craftsman into someone harder, colder, more precise. The old Art Bellwether would have felt guilt about his ex-wife's death, about his daughter's struggles, would have rushed to help, to save, to forgive. But that man had died in betrayal's flames. This new version understood that actions had consequences, that choices carried weight, that justice demanded payment in full. His empire had grown from those ashes. Bellwether Crafts now employed 30 people across 3 locations. His designs won awards. His pieces graced museums. Success was its own revenge. A final message appeared on his phone, from Detective Davies. A decade later, and I still can't prove how you did it. Maybe that's for the best. Some justice works better in the shadows. Art didn't respond. Davies had become something of a friendly adversary over the years, both men recognizing in each other a dedication to their craft, even if they operated on different sides of justice's razor edge. Tomorrow, he'd begin work on the courthouse restoration. His hands would shape wood into beauty, just as they'd once shaped destruction into justice. They thought him weak, a simple craftsman who would break under betrayal's weight. Instead, he'd become something stronger, something harder, something that understood that true justice wasn't about revenge, but about ensuring consequences found their mark. Ellie had learned that lesson too late, her deathbed realizations worth nothing. Cassie had learned it through years of struggle and poverty. Damon would keep learning it behind bars. And Art? Art had learned the most valuable lesson of all, that sometimes the most brutal act of justice was simply stepping aside and letting people face the full weight of their choices. He returned to his workshop, where a new piece waited. The wood would become something beautiful under his hands, something lasting, like justice, like consequence, like the man he'd become. The old Art Bellwether might have forgiven them, but he wasn't that man anymore, and he never would be again. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.